Is it possible that you're sabotaging your own marriage? I see it all the time with couples and they don't even realize it. I am going to tell you the 5 most common things that I see people do that ruin intimacy in their relationship. Hi, I'm Kelly Case, licensed counselor and marriage coach. I take marriages that are broken and unfulfilling and make them first class. This channel is for people who want a happier home, but just don't know how to get it. Be sure to click the subscribe button so that you can get notified whenever I upload anything new. Sometimes your relationship may be going so well that it scares you. If you haven't had this happen yet, you will. It'll be flowing strongly like water coming through a hose. Maybe so strongly that you fear you'll drown. When this happens, you may have an urge to kink the hose, to stop the flow, afraid that if that water keeps flowing, you are going to lose yourself in this relationship, in this person, in life altogether. Being in love, being vulnerable, and being intimate can be very scary for someone who has had bad experiences in the past. It can be downright terrifying. You fear losing yourself and being hurt. So either consciously or subconsciously, you may kink the hose. But keep in mind that your goal is to create a happy, satisfying, fulfilling, long-lasting love affair with your spouse. Intimacy is required in order to have that. When you are vulnerable with your spouse, you will finally experience true connection. Being vulnerable to the point of experiencing a deep connection is called intimacy. When you hear the word intimacy, your mind may go straight to sex. Although sex is one way to be intimate because it involves physical vulnerability that results in a physical and hopefully emotional connection, there are actually many ways to experience intimacy that extend beyond the bedroom. Intellectual intimacy, which is connecting around thoughts and ideas. Emotional intimacy. This is what happens in emotional affairs where sex is not even involved. Experiential intimacy, the sharing of vulnerable experiences together, like going through a natural disaster together or skydiving together. And spiritual intimacy. Another way to think about intimacy is into me see. It is allowing someone to really see you inside and out. Some people have a fear of intimacy. It's really the same fear as the fear of vulnerability that I have talked about in other videos. You may do things, possibly subconsciously, that are actually preventing you from really being vulnerable and intimate with your spouse. You know you need it in your relationship, but it's just too uncomfortable, so you stop it, many times without even meaning to. The time that we're actually most likely to want to kink the hose is immediately following an intimate experience. The experience feels uncomfortable, and we start to fear that we'll drown as we feel the flow of the water, and we want to regain some control and return to our comfort zone. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable simply because it's new to us. Maybe you've never really been vulnerable, connected, and intimate with your spouse before, or with anyone at all. This is not what your marriage is usually like, and so you kink the hose just to make things normal again. I'm going to share 5 ways that people commonly kink the hose and how to recognize if you're doing it. The first way that people kink the hose is worrying. Oftentimes when things are going well in our marriage or our life, we start to worry about what could go wrong rather than just letting ourselves enjoy what's happening. If we begin to feel vulnerable, we may worry or become anxious in order to return things back to our comfort zone. It may happen without you even noticing. It's time to start noticing. It's an automatic reaction that isn't serving you well. You may even begin to inflict your worrisome thoughts on others or criticize them to make them as miserable as you are. If you are worrying about something that you have absolutely no control over, you're worrying unnecessarily and you need to stop. This is called anxiety. Unless your worry can lead you to some action in the near future that will have a positive impact, it's useless. So give yourself a reality check regarding your worry. I've seen worry become addicting. It can become a habit. You may not even know how to live and function without your good friend worry. It's always by your side and it's your go-to. And you may justify it to yourself by saying things like, well, that one time it really did happen. I have to worry about it so I can be prepared and make sure that it doesn't happen. You have the power to quit worrying and just let yourself enjoy your life and your marriage. It may require some coaching, but you can do it. The second way we kink the hose is by staying busy. If you are too busy, no one can really get close to you, including your spouse. There's no time for sharing your innermost thoughts and feelings or for having sex. There's no space for rejection or hurt. And it's easy to justify your behavior because hard work and productivity are valued and rewarded in our society. I mean, you're busy being a great provider, a great parent, a great Christian. But if those things are preventing you from being a great spouse, you're not truly being successful. Slow down and let intimacy take place. The third way we kink the hose is criticizing and blaming. Nothing destroys intimacy more than criticism and blame. Number one destructive act. And your habit of doing it may be killing your marriage. Do you find yourself always looking for what needs to be criticized, what needs improved, what could have been better, what didn't go right? Are you in the habit of criticizing? Sometimes if things are feeling too intimate, a person who fears intimacy will throw out a criticism in order to return things to their normal state. Not sure it's a problem for you? Okay, well, try going a day without doing it. Maybe you could wear a rubber band on your wrist and snap it every time you notice yourself criticizing anything, particularly your spouse. Just like worry, criticism is useless unless it is specific and actionable in that moment. And even then, is it necessary? Start paying close attention to critical statements that just come flying out of your mouth. In a minute, I'll also share with you what to do if you realize that you are doing these things. But first, let me tell you about the fourth and fifth most common saboteur behaviors that I see in marriage. The fourth way we kink the hose is by starting an argument. This is similar to criticism, but it might be more severe. It may be done in a different way than criticizing. For instance, doing something to push the other person's buttons. Something that you know they don't like. It's done with the purpose of creating distance. It says, you're getting too close, back up. Sometimes it involves doing something that you know your spouse hates so that you can make yourself unlovable and thereby push them away and make things less intimate. Sometimes it involves accusing them of something they didn't do. Whatever it is, it always creates distance and decreases intimacy. The fifth and final way that I commonly see people kink the hose is breaking integrity. This means doing something out of a lack of integrity to keep things from getting too intimate. This is a severe kink. The spouse may lie, they may break a promise, they may flirt with another man or woman. They may even have an affair. Yes, people do go to great lengths to avoid intimacy. Sometimes it's so scary to them that having an affair actually feels like a good idea to them because it is sure to keep them from being vulnerable in their marriage. All of the things I just shared are ways that we try to regain control out of fear that we will drown in the intimacy of this relationship, that we will be hurt or rejected, that this will turn out badly, and that we won't be able to recover. We're so afraid to lose ourselves that we end up losing our marriages instead. Recognizing it is the first step, but then what do you do about it? That's a tough question that I can't provide an easy answer to because my question would be very personalized to each individual. I need to know exactly what you're afraid of, what's holding you back, and what ways you are specifically kinking the hose and why. But if I were going to provide a general answer, it would be this. Number one, recognize that you are exhibiting self-sabotaging behaviors. Number 2, assess the reasons why you don't feel safe to be vulnerable. Number 3, be intentional about creating new habits. And number 4, seek coaching or counseling. My hope for you is that you'll be able to feel safe in your marriage to be vulnerable, because without vulnerability, you'll never experience true intimacy. To get help with your self-sabotaging behaviors and to learn more about how to get the marriage you want, come visit me over at firstclassmarriage.com. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a like, comment, or hit subscribe so that more people can see this valuable content.